M2
Here comes a real classic. This one I like. It's quiet. Too quiet. I love the classics. It's quiet. Too quiet. That's why it's a classic. It's great.
All right, good. Hold on, please.
Oh, it's fun to pretend, isn't it?
Very little is known of Logan, the man we refer to as Wolverine. Department H and the Weapon X facility did their best to eliminate Wolverine's past and all other vestiges of his humanity in an attempt to make him a more efficient killer. On the exterior, he is a living weapon, imbued with a healing factor that compensates for nearly any injury, and a skeleton and claws that are all but indestructible. At his core, however, he is much, much more. He is both noble and savage, the prototypical masterless samurai, seeking to understand his past in the hopes that it will lead him to a brighter future. Sabretooth was once in the very same covert operations unit that created Wolverine. Unlike Wolverine, Sabretooth has given up any pretense of humanity and exists only for the kill. Sabretooth, with the strength, speed, savagery, and healing factor to rival Wolverine's, to this day remains one of Logan's most implacable foes. Wolverine's first assignment with Department H was no small task: find and eliminate the Incredible Hulk. On that mission, he encountered the Wendigo. This poor soul is the result of an ancient curse placed upon the Canadian wilderness and lives off human flesh. Although the curse can be passed on to different people, the spirit that is the Wendigo will always remember one of its greatest foes, Wolverine. Charged with the creation of a mutant-powered covert operations unit, the professor assembled some of Canada's greatest mutants for the task, whether they wanted to join or not. With cold calculation, augmentations were mandated for some of the group's members. First among these orders was the grafting of adamantium to the bones of the mutant codenamed Weapon X. Today, Weapon X goes by another name: Wolverine. Caught up in events that she was powerless to change, Carol Hines felt she had no choice but to follow orders in the creation of Weapon X. But as Carol shall no doubt discover, there is almost always a choice, and verily there are always consequences. 30 years ago, Dr. Cornelius and others destroyed a man named Logan and replaced him with the killing machine known as Wolverine. He has regretted his actions ever since, but more importantly, he fears what will happen when all of his demons come home to roost. Nestled deep within the Canadian wilderness, Department H and the facility were responsible for the Weapon X program some 30 years ago. Now the facility is running again, carrying out new, sinister agendas and tying up loose ends. One of these loose ends happens to be the elimination of the now wayward members of a 30-year-old super soldier program known as Weapon X. As the world inched irrevocably closer to the precipice of genetic war, Pyotr Rasputin stood his ground. The powerhouse of the X-Men, he used his mutant powers to protect those who had come to hate and fear his kind. But the cold organic steel into which the Russian-born Colossus could transform masked an artistic heart, a heart of such courage and strength that he sacrificed his life to cure the lethal legacy virus. When my stepbrother, Cain Marco, discovered the power residing within the gem of Sitarak, he became the unstoppable Juggernaut. Unfortunately, he has since used his almost limitless might to fuel his long-harbored resentment toward me, clashing time and again with myself and the X-Men over the years. Now, Cain is being held in the void, there until he is either rehabilitated or we devise a means to divest him of the mystic energies which make him such a dangerous foe. Originally created as the Soviet answer to Captain America, Arkady Rossovich was eventually placed into cryosleep due to his psychotic and uncontrollable nature. He has recently been reawakened and has resumed his quest for the carbonadium synthesizer, the only device that can stabilize his mutant ability to generate death pheromones. The whereabouts of the C synthesizer are known to only one man, Wolverine. The enmity between Magneto and Logan reached a peak when Magneto used his ability to manipulate magnetic fields to forcibly remove Wolverine's adamantium skeleton from his body. Testimony to Wolverine's resilience, he survived the encounter. I personally fear for the next time these two meet, for in such an encounter, no quarter will be asked and none given. Wolverine's skeleton can be credited to Lady Deathstrike's father, who developed the process by which adamantium can be bonded to bone. Upon her father's murder, Lady Deathstrike vowed to revenge herself on the man she mistakenly believes to be responsible, Wolverine. To that end, she will employ any means necessary, going so far as to transform herself into a cyborg in the hopes that it will be enough to restore her honor and put her father's memory to rest. Like the Vault, the Void functions as a maximum security prison for superpowered mutant criminals. Every cell is tailor-made to house its criminal guests. Only the most dangerous and incorrigible individuals end up here, and should they be set free, they would doubtless rain destruction on a very unsuspecting world. This new breed of shock troopers is the latest to come from the darkened corners of Department H and the facility. Led by a soldier known only as Deuce, the mutant hunters carry out the directives of their masters in Department H with a cold and ruthless efficiency. Not actually a mutant at all, Dr. Nathaniel Essex is the product of his own twisted genius and Apocalypse's dark ministrations. Now, Mr. Sinister spends his immortality manipulating the mutant genome from the shadows in an attempt to create the perfect mutant. If he succeeds, he will have the perfect weapon to use against his lord and master, Apocalypse. Known as En Sabanur in a time before the pyramids were first built in Egypt, Apocalypse is the first of our kind, and self-proclaimed High Lord of all mutants. Apocalypse has, in his long lifetime, influenced events through manipulation from the shadows or open warfare accompanied by his horsemen. He has managed to survive through the eons by strict adherence to his Darwinian tenet of only the strongest shall survive.